everybody, it's Cody, Dixon RC. Welcome to week 1 of the budget build competition. Decided I wanted to kind of do this with this Sendero HD. If you guys don't know what the budget build is, basically what I'm doing is taking $75 per week and putting it into the truck. That's the budget that you put out, that you set out to use. You don't have to use all of that money. If you don't use all that money that you have left over rolls over to the following week. So it's just a good way to kind of show what you can do with this truck as far as building it on a budget, so to speak. The last budget bid I did it for $50 a week. We cannot really do that in a comp setting. I mean, I probably could get away with it, but we're going to do 75 and see how it goes. This may be too much for you as well, spending $75 at a time. Maybe not, I don't know. I'm going to try and do it on the cheaper side and still have a decent comp truck. Now, I'm not going to say competitive comp truck because I don't think, well, maybe it'll be competitive, but I don't foresee it being competitive like a cheater rig kind of deal. I don't see that happening, not for a decently cheap amount of money. A lot of those guys have lots of money tied up in those trucks, a lot of tuning too, so maybe not a whole bunch of money. But, you know, I think this was the best platform for that, the Sendero SE, basically because it has servo on axle, has a decent tire already on it. The chassis is pretty set up. It's got a forward motor mount set up, even though it's a little bit different than some Ford motors that, stick all the way up front. This one does have a nice low center of gravity kind of deal. The body's kind of big, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We'll just continue on like we're doing. I think everything else in it is decent. It needs to be, a couple things need to be changed, but not too much. But so this is week 1. Week 1, what is always the first thing you do when you get a truck? Wheels. Correct. So we're going to do, what I'm going to do this week is spend only not very much money, less than $40. I'm going to spend $37.80 on a set of Gmade SR04 matte black beadlocks. Gmade makes some really cool steel beadlocks, all different kinds of colors, different styles. They all have a pretty good, decent amount of weight to them as well, which is kind of where I was wanting to go with that without having to add a bunch of brass to this truck. First thing. It does need a little bit of weight in the lower part, which I think the wheels will nail that. We're going to keep the same stock tires because I think these tires actually work pretty well. So we're going to do that. I'm going to show you how to mount one. I've already mounted 2 on this side. The 2 on that is still the stock plastic ones. I'm going to mount 1, show you how to do it with the Gmades because they are a little bit on the particular side on how they mount. They're not bad. Once you figure out a kind of a system on how to do it, it becomes pretty simple to do. But we'll do 1 and then we'll have it finished. I've got kind of an idea in my head on what it should do versus what it did stock. It should help it plan it a little bit more, but we'll see. So hang tight and we'll show you how to mount some beadlocks. All right, so let's go over a little bit of details of these wheels. They're made by Gmade. They are a full solid steel wheel. The inner ring is a full solid unit. The back plate's another solid unit. Now, the quirkiness of this one is these nuts, you have to put these nuts into each one of these holes each time. They're pretty aggravating to deal with, to be honest. But they're not too bad. But once you figure out a plan of how to do it, it's not too bad. But the other cool thing about it is they do come with scale bolts. You do get a scale bolt. You need a 3.5 millimeter unit or 3.5 millimeter nut driver if you wanted to do that. It does come with its own tool that hooks to a 2.5 millimeter hex. You can just put it in there and use that if you want to. That's the tool. Each pair of them come with 1. So you'll have 2 if you buy a full set. Now I'm trying to get situated here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take apart the stock wheel. I'm going to use my trusty driver here. It is a 2 mil. The hub falls off of it. Take the first face plate, the back plate, and the ring out. All right, so let's see. So you take the center ring, put it in. It's not really a ring. This is just a solid piece. Try and get it to sit how you want it to go in there. Always try and just move it around. Try and get it as even as possible. Now, here is the tricky part of this particular wheel. You got to line up each one of these holes because they will not line up properly. So take it and try like that, push it together, try and see if that gets even. It did. So each one of this kit comes with 2 of these longer screws, basically to help you set the bead lock. So you do 2 of them at one time to push it together, then you put the scale bolts in, because if you try and use the scale bolt ones, there's a high chance you'll strip them out. You don't want to do that at all. So I take it, put a little bit of the nut on it, and then stick it through there, because that's about the only way you're going to be able to do it and it hold in. You take your faceplate, try and line it up the best you can. This is the hard part here, because this stuff moves so much, it's not going to be correct. That's not right. You want to try and line it up with your eye. Oof, that may not be enough. Oh, that worked. Cool. So I'll take my drill. Just at least get it started. But see, now that that's done, you see how the holes here don't line up at all. So that becomes the tricky part, in my opinion. It makes it a little bit tougher to do this. But you take your other nut, stick it in there, and then take it out. Put your finger on it, then take the same one you just used there. See, that's not going to work at all. Maybe a little bit. Well, that worked. Okay, you can move it around a little bit and try and get it to where you want it. Also, be sure and check your bead. Make sure your bead is doing what it's supposed to do. Some of these beads, you got to watch them. It'll just pop right on out of there. Check your back too. Make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. Looks good there. So I happen to have another one of these long bolts as well. We'll use that and then use a scale bolt to put it in there. Hopefully I've got it enough to start. I don't, but put a little bit of pressure on it. Good to go. All right, let's speed through these other ones. So when you get done with putting your 4 in there, take your screw gun or hand drill, whatever you want to use, and get these ones out. So you'll take that out of the way, stick your scale bolt in there, tighten it down. And there you have it, beadlock mounted. Like I say, it's not that easy. Once you figure out a system to put these nuts in, kind of makes it quicker for you. I think this is a really good looking wheel for this particular truck. So I'm gonna hurry up and do the other one, and then I'll be right back. All right, so there we go. Freshly mounted up, good to go, looking great, tight. Got a little bit of weight to it, so we'll mount them on the truck, and then we'll discuss all totals and see where we're at. All right, so we got wheels and tires on the truck, or just wheels, excuse me. So they go together pretty easy. They're kind of aggravating, like I said, but once you kind of figure out a plan, you got it. It should be pretty quick. I can do a set of these in less than 30 minutes, so not too bad. So let's go over totals for this. So we started out week one with $75. We spent, for the set of 4 of these wheels, we spent $37.80. Not too bad, really. So that leaves us with $37.20 to roll over to next week. So pretty cool. So we got a little bit of money saved up, and we're going to keep that going too, by the way. So not too bad. These wheels are relatively inexpensive as far as sets of wheels go. There's some out there that are a little cheaper. If you go like Enjora, stuff like that, they've got some cheap ones out there as well. But I don't know, it's hard to beat $37 for a set of wheels with scale hardware, because that's the other thing. All these other wheels don't come with scale hardware. Even though this is their own proprietary scale hardware, there is ways to make it work. You can do, this is a 2mm thread, so you could probably do a Boom Racing 2mm or something along the lines of that to make it a smaller scale bolt, you know, if you wanted to do that way there. So not too bad. So that we got a bunch of money left over for next week, and then after next week we'll have a bunch of money left over as well also for that. I did not get to go drive this. I was going to go drive it out in the ditch down there, but the rocks out there are so loose. None of them are packed at all, so whenever you're driving over it just pulls them away. So it was senseless to even try and even drive it. But from the amount that I did do, I can tell a big difference in these wheels and the weight down low versus what it was before with the plastic wheels. So I think even if you're not even going to a comp style build or anything like that, but if you do run trails or run gates with people for fun or whatever, weight down low is the way to go for this truck. It's so light up top, so that's the best way to go. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'm really going to attempt to try and put out one of these each week. Monday, this come out Monday morning, 8 a.m. I'm going to try and do every Monday. I got a couple of them stockpiled now, so we'll try and have them every Monday until I'm done. I figure I've got most of this stuff figured up already. I think I'm going to have about 9 to 10 weeks of this, so should be pretty good. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next week.